is up, Moe Squad? It's Moesoda here, and welcome back to another video of the Promised Neverland. The last episode of the Promised Neverland left off with all the kids except for Ray getting caught talking about the escape in the woods by Sister Crone. What? Crone was an orphan? What? I feel like this is the biggest reveal in the show. Not even like the beginning. What scene is it called? Is it a carriage scene? It's not a carriage scene. Gate. Not even at the gate scene in the first episode. This is big news. I don't know why I feel like it's big news. I feel like what? So this definitely is something that leads to more world building within the world of the Promised Neverland, because now we know that if you are an orphan on this farm or whatever, you do have a chance to live past 12. So what we found out in this episode, the adults have chips that they get surgically implanted because Sister Crone had a giant scar down her chest, that if they get killed, it sends a signal to the headquarters. The headquarters is what Sister Crone is calling it, so I'm gonna call it that too. That was a demon for sure. She cannot be outside of the farm, and she cannot die because it sends signals to headquarters. Sister Crone is 26 years old and Isabella is 31 years old, and I find that pretty significant because they are acting like 40 and 50-year-old. Well, I guess Sister Crone is like acting like a mentally deranged person at 26 years old, and Isabella is just like, she's like Cruella de Vil, you know? She's just a mean lady, and you know, mean ladies, I feel like they just are always old. I don't know what it, maybe that's just ingrained in me from the 101 Dalmatians. I don't know. But other humans live outside of the farm that are allowed to live and that they don't get eaten. So that is pretty significant because in the last episode, Emma found all these book plates randomly by chance that have Morse code from a guy on the outside. Which means that people on the outside do live, and the demons do not eat them. So I guess there's potential for a society. Sister Crone said that they make clothes and everything for the people in the farm. So I'm not sure exactly what the quality of life is outside of the farm for these people, but it's there. And there are 3 farms that they have spoken of. I don't know if this is significant. I don't know if there are more than 3 farms, but they keep talking about 3 specific farms. Only girls can live past 12, and they need to meet 2 conditions, one of which is getting high scores, which Emma does, and they need to have a mom recommendation, which I guess if it was Emma being the informant instead of Ray, then Isabella would probably give her a recommendation because she is a top scorer, and they would probably have like that kind of relationship. But I think because now all this stuff has happened, I don't think Emma would even get a recommendation. So it's good that she's trying to escape. You can live past 12, but you have to be a mom. So that's like your only choice. So you can die or you can be a mom. So you have to trick all these children. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. Just thought about that. So you have to trick all these children to thinking that they're going to their forever home to live. So you could live and do that, or you could die and not do that. You know, that's a hard decision because like everybody wants to live, and nobody wants to trick little children into thinking they're getting their dream happy home forever out of the orphanage. So those are the things we found out in this episode. Sister Crone and the kids enter into a pact so that they can help each other out. Sister Crone can give them information, and they can help Sister Crone get dirt on Isabella so that she can overthrow Isabella. And this episode is kind of a clusterfuck. The kids are trying to keep information from Sister Crone while getting information from her. So they're saying like, oh, I don't know anything about tracking devices. What are these tracking devices all about? And then Sister Crone is like, well, here you go. You can look at it, you know, like, but I know you know about the tracking devices, you know, so it's like that whole situation. Neither side is getting their way. They're all, yeah, let's just move on. Crone tries to find evidence on the kids, a solid proof evidence that she can take to the higher ups or grandma or whatever, so that she can prove that the kids are rebelling against Isabella, and that Ilabella's not controlling her children very well, and so that she can be replaced. And just as she thinks that she finds something worth taking to the higher ups, Isabella slaps her with a letter from headquarters. And one can only assume that it's an expulsion letter because her reaction is very, she's very stressed out by this letter. I don't know if it's just expulsion, like, hey, come back to headquarters and, you know, do something different, because this ain't working. Or if it's like, come back to headquarters, but that's the last breath you'll take is at headquarters before I murder you. I don't know. I can only assume that it's the latter, you know, because, like, I don't know, like, she seems very upset. So, I don't know what's going on. What I do know is Isabella is truly evil, okay? This lady, if she looked at me the way she looks at Sister Crone, like, ugh, I don't know what I would do, because she is creepy. With everything that we found out in this episode, it looks like the kids have a good chance of surviving on the outside of the wall. Well, at least the 5 of the kids that know about it. I'm not sure about the rest of the kids because Sister Crone is going to leave and she won't have the children's back when they're trying to escape. Like, you know, she's not there to help them out anymore. She didn't even tell them how to take out the tracking devices and use all of the medical tools and anesthesia to do so that they can properly remove them so that they don't get caught. She didn't even get a chance to tell them how to do that. So I don't know what they're gonna do because it seems like that's a big deal. Like the tracking devices are just gonna go off as soon as they get outside of the wall, but I don't know. We don't know. We gotta wait, okay? I assume Ray has a plan with the camera that he received from Isabella this week, but I don't know how camera parts can, like, disable a tracking device. I don't know. That doesn't seem a little bad. Especially, like, an old-ass Polaroid camera, you know what I mean? Like, also, why are they using such dated technology? Like, that's dated technology even for, like, today's standards, so I don't even understand what world they're living in. But seriously, if they're supposed to be living in the future and they have all these dated clothes and they have all this dated technology, I am hoping or assuming or guessing that on the outside of the wall, it's like a magical wonderland of technology, and they're limiting the technology inside of these farms so that the children don't use the technology against them. But, you know, who knows? I mean, they're 45 years in the future. You would think that they would have better technology. And I feel like the series is finally getting exciting. Like, the episodes up until this point built up the story and built up the characters, but it never really, like, set boundaries inside the world that these kids live in. There's the world inside of the farm and the world outside of the farm, and we kind of don't know enough about both to firmly ground the rules of this anime. Do you know what I'm saying? With a normal anime series, like your run-of-the-mill typical anime series, you are introduced to the world that the people live in. If it's like a fantasy world, they establish rules for the world within usually the first 1 or 2 episodes. Like in Made in Abyss, they establish that the abyss has different layers and you can't just ascend down into the abyss and come back up. You know, there's a hierarchy and there's a bell system. So like we're getting small amounts of information each episode, but like none of them amount to a big giant like, okay, I know that, like, there is technology, or, like, okay, I know that this is actually set in the time that it is set in, because everything's not matching up at this point. Like, you've got demons, you've got normal people, you've got, like, just old women, not, like, older men. So, like, there's not a lot of, like, basis to situate yourself into this series, into this world. Up until like episode 6, like now, episode 7, they gave us like the whole big picture, kind of. So without giving away too much to make it seem boring or like, okay, here's all your information, blah, 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 here you go. Here's the world outside, this is what it looks like, you know, like in an interesting way they've been building up the series. It's so much easier to understand the characters and where they're coming from and like what consequences they have to their actions when you know like the rules of the world that they live in. So up until this point, we've kind of been like floating around in this world, like, oh, where's the ground? You know, like, what time are we in? Like, what time zone? Like, where is this place? Like, you don't get any kind of information like that. So it's cool to get all this information just by like one conversation with Sister Crone, because I feel like the series really needed it to push it forward. So now that now that they can almost escape, they're almost about to escape, we can see like, okay, these are the things that we're going to be looking for outside of the wall. This is what's potentially going to happen. And it kind of just like makes you more excited for the series, because you're like, hey, what kind of people are those outside of the wall? Like, how are they allowed to live and these children aren't, you know, things like that. So super excited that we found out all this information in this episode. I'm excited for the next episode, probably more excited than I've been for any episode so far. So like, that's saying something, you know? What was your favorite part of this episode? And what do you hope for next episode? Leave all of that downstairs. While you're there, hit that subscribe button, join the moesquad, and follow me on my Instagram and my Twitter, because in the coming weeks I will be live streaming, and that is where I will post when I'm going to go live, so you don't want to miss it. I'm probably going to be playing Persona 5 Dancing, and then potentially some other things, but I'm going to start out with Persona. I might play Persona 5 normal after Persona 5 Dancing, because I had it on my PS3 and now I have a PS4, and you know how that, and so I gotta start over. So I might be doing that as well. So if you like Persona, you think this is kind of and follow me on Twitter, and then you'll know, and then we can hang out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week for the next episode of The Promised Neverland. That took way too long. Bye!